I'm overcome with emotion at the beginning of this new year because of what's happening in Syria. Freedom. It's a miracle. Nobody thought it would ever happen. The tyrant is gone and the people are free. It's an emotional time for the people of Syria, but it's also an emotional time for Muslims all over the world because Syria figures prominently in the end of times. Jesus, in his second coming, will come very soon in Syria, in Damascus. It's also an emotional time for Muslims all over the world because the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ praised the people of Syria. And it's also an emotional time for Muslims all over the world because the scholars of Syria have filled the hearts and minds of Muslims from America all the way to China with the knowledge and the love of Allah and His Messenger ﷺ. That's why it's an emotional time for me. And it should be an emotional time for anyone who's taken the Why Islam is True course or taken any of my classes or watched any of my videos online, because Why Islam is True comes from Syria. My classes come from Syria. My videos come from Syria. My teachers are from Syria. I'm not an important student. They've had many righteous and knowledgeable students, not me. But what I've learned from them has touched my heart, and everything that I do, everything that I teach is infused by what they taught me and how they've influenced me. As this new year begins, I want to tell you about one of my teachers from Syria. I never met him, but he's my teacher because he taught my teacher. His name was Sheikh Muhammad Adib Alani. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him. He was from Hama. In 1982, the al-assad regime besieged the city of Hama. And then they indiscriminately slaughtered tens of thousands, maybe even 100,000 civilians, women, children. They didn't discriminate. They killed everyone. Many people escaped, and he could have escaped too. He had promises of safety and riches from influential people, but he stayed in Hama with the people of Hama because he was their teacher and they drew inspiration from him, and he wouldn't leave them in their time of need. So he died a martyr, and two of his sons died with him, and he was 45 years old when he passed away. Sheikh Muhammad Adib Alani, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him. Kailani means Jilani. He was a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam through the lineage of the great Sheikh of Baghdad, Abdul Qadir al-Jilani. He used to teach the rational arguments for the truth of Islam. He learned these rational arguments from Sheikh Muhammad al-Hashimi. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him. Another sheikh who struggled against the French occupation of Damascus, and he urged all of his students to join in that struggle against occupation. Sheikh Muhammad Adib Alani learned the rational arguments for the truth of Islam through him, and one of his students is my teacher, Sheikh Abdul Karim Tattan. He wasn't really a student, he was more of a friend because they were similar in age, but he did learn from him, and out of his humility, he says that he was his student. I learned the rational arguments for the truth of Islam from Sheikh Abdul Karim Tattan, who learned these arguments from Sheikh Muhammad Adib Al-Kailani. And so Sheikh Muhammad Adib Al-Kailani is the reason for the Why Islam is True course. And that's why this is an emotional time for me, because without the sacrifices of righteous scholars like Sheikh Muhammad Adib Al-Kailani, I wouldn't be here today. And today, at the beginning of this new year, the tyrants who oppressed those righteous scholars, who tortured them, who murdered them and murdered millions of righteous Muslims, those tyrants are now gone. And the legacy of the righteous scholars who they killed lives on. Who would have imagined that a scholar who is sitting with a group of students in a mosque in Hama, teaching them the rational arguments for the truth of Islam, and who is killed by a tyrant, who would have imagined that what they taught would be reaching the hearts and minds of Muslims and non-Muslims in America, in Canada, in the UK, in Australia, in France, in Germany, in the heart of the non-Muslim world. The mission that these people gave their lives for lives on, and their mission will prevail. There will come a day when millions of people in America, in Canada, in the UK, in Australia, in France, in Germany, in the heart of the modern free world, there will come a day when millions of people will be moved by their rational arguments and by their example, by their spiritual example, to become Muslim and to say, La ilaha illallah. And it will all be because of the sacrifices that these people made. Despite everything that we read in the news, I believe that good times lie ahead. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on these people. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue their example, and may their example be an inspiration for people all over the world to carry forth the message of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. People who are influenced and shaped by their example and their knowledge, people like you.